Hello everyone, this is Laura from Astropositive, and I'm here to talk with you about what the next week will bring from the 24th to the 30th of November 2025. As you can hear from my voice, I'm not in the greatest shape of my life, but I had to show up. And because the planets are not standing still and things keep evolving and changing every day. So, what about next week? This will be a week in between a little bit between the new moon and the full moon to come. So things we can say are still in preparation for the climax to come at the full moon next week. For the time being, the sun is in Sagittarius, which means, well, it feels like a breath of fresh air. We don't feel like dwelling so much on what was afflicting us as it did before when it was in Scorpio, and we would rather look ahead to the greener pastures that are awaiting us. It's time to pick ourselves from the floor and get going, get moving. We are transitioning from fixed water, Scorpio, to mutable fire, Sagittarius, so stagnancy and getting swamped by emotions give way to adaptability and a new zest for life. The transition can be quite abrupt. It's like we wake up one day and wonder what weighed us down so much before. New horizons are here now for us to explore, and everybody is feeling a sense of thrilling excitement. We are thrilled to welcome in the potential, the promise of a brighter future, and maybe derive some wisdom in the process because, as we know, Sagittarius is a very philosophical sign that lives to gather wisdom and evolve spiritually. Mercury during this time is still retrograding in Scorpio, so it's still one step behind the Sun. Mercury doesn't feel ready to turn the page. It still has some unfinished business with the past and is still searching in the deep waters of our soul and of our unconscious. So communication might still feel quite intense and dwelling on the past. And it has to do with the heaviness of what we've been through. These matters haven't yet reached a satisfying conclusion. And this is our second attempt to understand it because Mercury is now retrograde. We would like to understand why all this suffering was even necessary, okay? So probably the conclusion will be reached when Mercury will turn direct and pass over all these degrees once again. For the time being, it gets support from Venus that is still in Scorpio right now. And Venus is not yet prepared to let go. So love and relationships are still approached with all this scorpionic intensity and drama. Forgiveness and light-hearted flirt and banter are not yet forthcoming. We'll have to wait for next month for that. So we should all watch out for possessiveness, jealousy, power games, manipulation for the sake of control, because we might indulge in all of the above if we feel that what we love is threatening to elude or escape us. Mars, on the other hand, is romping about happily in Sagittarius. No hesitation there. We are going after what we want. We are full of optimism that we will get it. And all this activity might not be very well integrated with the rest of the chart, because Mars is not making so many aspects to other planets. So all our efforts might not amount to much in the end, but at least we feel free to act, and that keeps us happy for the time being. As you can see, in the beginning of the week, we have this water grand trine. That's been a fixture of these last few weeks. Mercury and Venus form the angle, and Jupiter trine, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, forms the basis. So now the theme are amorous thoughts with the Mercury-Venus combination. Thoughts of pleasurable activities, holidays, maybe artistic creativity for those of us thus inclined. The overall mood is perceptibly more serene than in the previous week. Still, emotions are kept within the closed circuit of the Grand Trine, meaning we play our cards close to the chest. We don't disclose much concerning our emotions. The Sun has just left the opposition to Uranus, so some sudden event has taken place, most likely at the new moon on the 20th. That has brought a new perspective, and that brought a new freedom to our situation. It was occurring in the very last degree of Scorpio, the anaretic degree, so to speak. So it certainly felt like a deliverance. It might also have stirred some rebellious tendencies in us, and even more so because Mars is square the notes right now. So we might act against the collective opinion and maybe even against group interests. We are mightily individualistic at this time. And also, we might have to choose our sides because Mars is squaring the node, so it has to decide between the south node, what is to be left behind, and the north node, what we are supposed to direct ourselves towards. Anyway, decisive action is called for in this beginning of the week. And at the end of the week, the same water grand trine is present and with the same Mercury-Venus at the apex. Except that Venus is now in Sagittarius, on the threshold of the sign. It's chomping at the bit to enjoy herself at last. It is now herself opposite Uranus, so some emotional ties might have been just severed. Or we might feel suddenly love-struck, because this aspect to Uranus, it's a bit like Eros' arrows, piercing people at random, left and right. Either way, in Sagittarius, we can't wait to make the most of a situation, be it as newly single or maybe freshly fallen in love. Mars is also conjunct Juno, so we see some action on the commitment front. Settled relationships, committed relationships, might be shaken up a bit. Some conflict might arise there, while budding ones are quickly developing. With Venus and Mars both in Sagittarius, there is little patience and no time to lose. After all, we only live once. That's the state of mind. So we feel entitled to have a good time, are we not? Okay, so now on a day-to-day basis, on the 24th, this is a day that could see some action, but also some conflict, because Mars is squaring the nodes, and therefore we can expect a lack of cooperation. People are each pulling in their own direction, and they are neglecting the common aim. Energies are a bit in conflict, and groups might split apart. The disharmony will make itself felt especially in the evening because the moon will be square Chiron. So with this, a situation will fall short of expectations. We might feel embarrassed or guilty, and we might lash out to others in irritation. Luckily, the same day, the sun is trining Ceres, which stands for good care, good mothering, good nurturing, so that includes good food. And at the same time, the moon is sextile Mercury and Venus, and this adds in a touch of creature comforts and also some sense of humor. So we won't get to the stage of full-blown conflict, hopefully. The moon is opposing also Jupiter and sextile Saturn late in the evening, and this can be quite enthusiastic, yet grounded, so a good balance can be found. All the more so as, on the 25th, Mercury will be conjunct Venus. This is quite a major event. So happy thoughts, happy messages of love can be exchanged, disagreements can be worked through, and we can all make peace again. If anything kept people apart, now is the time to smooth over the differences and find some common ground. Now is also the time to wax poetic about your feelings to someone, and to feel the optimism also described by the moon trine Uranus. The new is now banging on our door, and we are glad to let it in. We can let go of old emotional hurts, with Venus also quincunx Chiron. And even so, that means maybe reliving some unsettling memories of the past, with the moon conjunct Pluto. So we end the day on a note of good understanding and measured hope, with the moon sextile Sun. On the 26th, it's a happy day of enjoyment, fun, good feelings, with Venus trine Jupiter. So I normally would have warned you against the risk, the danger of overspending, of overindulging. But Venus is also trining Saturn, so nobody will go overboard. It's all about staying reasonable in your happiness, and we might feel some cautious hope and relief that things have turned out so well in the end, better than we expected. And that spurs us to more action, engaging with one another more, with the moon sextile Mars and Juno. On the 27th, if the moon square Venus in the morning is just a bit of laziness, benign laziness in the morning, Mars semi-square Pluto later on can be a bit scary because of the discordant energies. Maybe we got a bit too aroused by all the felicity of the last few days, and we might overexert ourselves or push our luck a bit too far. And the moon square Uranus is also issuing a warning against the risk of accidents, because we can be quite accident prone out of carelessness and impulsiveness. On the 28th, it's all about cooperation and getting along with people. It's a matter of how we are able to work in a group. Remember, on Monday there was this Mars square the nodes and all this risk of conflicts. This is pushing us to join our forces for the common good. And it's actually also steering us towards the right path ahead, because the North Node is our pole star, the direction we are supposed to follow. There are some lessons to be learned this day regarding how we handle our relationships and where we are headed. In the evening, this can give rise to some tension also with the square to Mars, the moon square to Mars, and egos might stand in the way of good cooperation. On the 29th, the nice trines of the moon to Mercury and Jupiter are describing pleasant and fruitful interactions and communications. And all these good feelings and good intentions are bumping into moon conjunct Saturn later in the day. We might feel suddenly restricted, especially as we had planned to have a nice time and go out and have fun in the evening with the moon trine Venus and sextile Uranus. Well, luckily it's only a fleeting depression that is lifting later on, so we are still allowed to have a good time on a Saturday evening. A sense of dissatisfaction might prevail, though, because something is still missing, with the moon conjunct Neptune. And the sun sesqui-square Chiron to come the next day. It's also that nagging feeling that all is not how it should be. We might ask ourselves, maybe we botched up things. Maybe we're supposed to act differently. On the 30th, anyway, Venus is opposite Uranus, and that seems to say it's time for a change. It's time for a surprising new moon in love. That's what it's called for. Or maybe just finding some new hobby or pastime to break the routine. This will be strongly felt on the previous day, but it will linger throughout the weekend. We are called to change the way we are looking for love, because romance is knocking on our door with Venus trine Neptune, and our hearts will be filled with sweet longing and idealistic projections. We end the week on a good balance with the moon trine Sun, so harmony reigns supreme. What more can we ask for? And with this, I will leave you all till next week to discuss the full moon to come. And I invite you all to comment and let us know how the week went for you. Okay, bye-bye. Till next time.